The proposal carries 29-0. The next item on our agenda is proposal number 219, refer to Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee. Madam Chair Adams.
Thank you, Madam President. Proposal number 219 was heard in the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee on July 22nd. It basically replaces the funding mechanism of Fiscal Ordinance Number 8, 2015, by appropriating $4.7 million in the 2015 budget of the Department of Public Safety, IMPD, the City Cumulative Capital Fund, and then reducing the appropriation in the same amount from the IMPD General Fund. This was presented in committee by Matthew Kimmick, the Controller, who stated that the Marion County Income Tax Council passed an increase of the public safety income tax to provide additional funding for public safety purposes. Earlier in the year, proposal number 22 was introduced to provide additional appropriations to various public safety and criminal justice agencies. The Council then introduced proposal number 47, which provided an additional $4.7 million to IMPD. Money from the Fiscal Stability Fund was used to help support a recruit class and help with a fiscal deficit within the IMPD budget, having the intent to repay the money. However, the rating agencies have been concerned with the restoration of the $80 million balance. Of the balance, $6.8 million was used for a recruit class in 2013, and an additional $8 million was used for emergency road and street repair in 2014. As of June 30th of this year, $8 million has been repaid. However, the $6.8 million has not. After reviewing various proposals, additional funding was available as a result of the public safety income tax increase, as well as knowing that approximately $85 million of the county option income tax fund would be transferred to IMPD to help fund their budget. It was elected that the money would be transferred into the Fiscal Stability Fund to repay the $6.8 million to let the rating agencies know that they were serious and avoid a potential downgrade. Councilor Mascari moved in committee, and it was seconded by Councilor Oliver then, to amend proposal number 219 as was highlighted in Exhibit B. And Exhibit B is the amendment which was offered, reverses the transfer from IMPD General to the Fiscal Stability Fund of $6.8 million and places it back into the IMPD General Fund. Various councilors had comments about this. Councilor Freeman stated that he believes this is a matter of priorities, adding that it infuriated him that the administration is fine with spending $32 million on electric vehicles, but has an issue with giving $6.8 million to IMPD officers. So Councilor Simpson moved, seconded by Councilor Mascari, then, to amend the original proposal 219 as detailed in Exhibit C. The motion carried by a vote of 9-0. At that point, we opened it up for public testimony, and we had Rick Schneider, the president of the FOP, come and comment. He stated that there is still a need for the $4.7 million that was initially given to IMPD in April. He added that none of the vehicles that are critically needed have been purchased out of the $4.7 million. He asked that the purchasing process move forward so they are able to get the vehicles and fulfill other needs. So Councilor Simpson moves, seconded by Councilor Oliver, then, to send proposal number 219 to the full council with a do pass as amended recommendation. That motion carried by a vote of 9-1, and I would so move, Madam President.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Are there comments from councilors? Councilor Simpson.
Madam President, I would like to be added on the sponsor on this, on 219.
Councilor Scales.
Madam President, I would also like to be added as a sponsor, please.
Councilor Mascari.
Madam President, I would like to also be added as a sponsor.
I'm going to go ahead and get all the sponsors. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. I, too, like to be added as a sponsor and want to say thank you for getting this taken care of.
Councilor Two.
Ditto.
Councilor Clay.
Sir, as well, Madam President.
Councilor Hickman.
Ditto.
Councilor Mansfield.
Thank you. I'd like to be added as a sponsor.
Did I get all the sponsors? Councilor Freeman.
Madam President, thank you, and thank
Mary for my words at committee, and I mean them tonight. I think this city is best run, in my opinion, when we work together and when we follow a strict adherence to ordinances and laws. I think it's an open question whether the mayor can just unilaterally move money. I think the better practice is to come to the council, present an ordinance, let the council debate it, and put it back in. This is not a matter of should we repay the fiscal stability fund. Yes, we have to repay the fiscal stability fund, but it's a matter of how do you do it. And there's a right way and a wrong way, right? I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Look, there's right and wrong in my household. There's right and wrong in the city, and we need to do things the right way. And this was not done, in my opinion, in the correct way. It's not done in the way that 29 people get to debate it and discuss it. And this stuff, doing stuff unilaterally, and it just, look, I stand by it, right? I mean, we find $32 million to buy, $74,000 electric cars, but by God, we have a problem with this. It makes no sense. I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Councilor Feaster.
Thank you, Madam President. I originally sponsored this because I wanted to support IMPD. I understand the needs for the money. They do have needs and critical needs, but I am totally opposed to taking it out of the Fiscal Stability Fund, so I'm asking that my name be deleted as a sponsor for this proposal. Thank you.
I believe that change has been made. Vice President Barth.
Thank you, Madam President. When we originally negotiated taking money out of the Fiscal Stability Fund for the intent of hiring new officers, I think the only people left in the room was President Lewis and myself. And the intent when we negotiated that and the discussion was around thoughtfully, carefully, with great care, doing it over a period of time in partnership between the mayor and the council. And so that was what we intended to do, and that's what we committed to do, and that's what we're going to do over multiple budget cycles. That's not how this ended up happening. I think going back to our original plan of having true bipartisan teamwork and a focus on fiscal discipline, doing it carefully and thoughtfully over time is the way to do this, just like we agreed to several years ago.
Councilor Sandlin.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate your comments, Councilor Barth. I wasn't in those negotiations. All I did was attend the committee hearing back in 2013 when we agreed to appropriate the money out of the Fiscal Stability Fund for a training class in 2014. And there was an amendment to that introduction, which I thought literally said that at the end of 2014, the city controller would look at the fund balances and then repay that money into the Fiscal Stability Fund. I had anticipated that would happen. I understand some of the aggravation over the way it was actually handled. I'm not opposed to the money going to IMPD. I'd like to see the Fiscal Stability Fund paid back because I think it's an important check and balance for our financial condition in the city, and it's important for our ratings. I wouldn't be opposed to taking another loan with a promise to repay the Fiscal Stability Fund, as long as we're looking at making those repayments. I don't think that we've lived by, the promise of the Fiscal Stability Fund. Somebody mentioned, funding some other stuff out of it. I didn't agree to that. I don't think I voted for it. The record will stand for that. But I do have a problem with spending that money down because I know the credit rating agencies do at some point look at that, and long term it could cost the taxpayers a lot more money. I think that this is an argument or an issue for the administration to address. I'm going to vote for it. I don't like it, and I still think we need to look at putting that money back in the fund balance so that we have it. I think long term it's important. I think as this council moves forward, we need to look at setting up some additional reserve funds because costs are going to continue to go up. And, I'm on the audit committee with Councilor Hickman, and we know from recent meetings that we just had that revenues aren't growing at a rate that's going to support our spending, and if we spend all of the fund balances, we're going to be in a lot worse shape. So, I challenge all of us to come together and try to find that solution. Thank you, Madam President.
Additional comments? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 219?
Thank you, Madam President. Rick Snyder, President of the Fraternal Order of Police. As I did in the committee meeting, I just want to stress again and place onto the record here tonight that the funding priorities that were established in the original proposal 47, which is funded with $4.7 million of these funds, nothing has been addressed. And in those discussions, many of the counselors here on the floor, myself, and many other representatives agreed that there are substantial life safety issues involved for our public servants in the police force. That being the safety of the police vehicles that they are currently in, as well as the critically needed repairs at our IMPD firearms range. Tomorrow, a substantial number of officers will be at that range completing their training in a facility that we have said is unsafe. This has got to be a priority. While this has gotten bogged down in a political back and forth, these needs have not only remained, but they have grown worse. So I hope that this council will send a message to the mayor that this is a priority, and there is middle ground. It's not all the $6.8 million. We can make a minimum of a $2 million payment back to the Fiscal Stability Fund with these same dollars. And we would be supportive of that. We've attempted to provide some solutions, and hopeful that all of you will support this proposal, 219. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Oliver.
A question for Director Snyder.
Yes, Counsel.
What do you mean when you say it's not safe? Will you describe that, please?
Chairwoman Moriarty Adams could speak to this as well. An engineering report was commissioned and was completed on that facility. Chairwoman Adams, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was as far back as 2013.
That's correct.
And that's the most recent one that we have. And at that time, they identified life safety issues related to the engineering failures that were occurring related to specifically baffling that's required on the firearms range. Those are overhead protective components. They're concrete barriers, if you will, which were crumbling and falling, and several other issues. That report has not been disputed. In fact, it is my understanding that that same company has been asked to update their proposal. And again, the information I have has not said that they've magically gotten better. It has said that it has deteriorated even further.
Madam Chair Adams.
Thank you, Madam President. I would, too, like to be added as a sponsor.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak to proposal number 219?
Hi, I'm Ethan Evans. I'm with Indy10, and I would agree with part of what the FOP president was saying, that the police patrol cars could use some renovations, and police safety is a very big concern at the firing range. However, I would like to add that there should be some stipulation that the funding goes to a much-needed part of the patrol car, which is dash cams, which are conspicuously absent from one of the largest police forces in the state of Indiana, and how there has not been a single proposal put forward to even suggest that we put dash cams in our police cars, which every other big city in America has, is beyond me. And I would also like to ask that the council have at least some discussion on proposal 229 and 128 further on in the meeting. But that's just my 2 cents. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Miller.
Thank you, Madam President. I've been really torn on this one as well, but while I realize math isn't our favorite subject, I really think we just solved the problem tonight. What I have heard from the FOP is they're willing to send $2.1 million to the Fiscal Stability Fund. We've also seen that the administration is willing to pay down the remainder of the Fiscal Stability Fund from the CUME Fund, because that's really using the transitive property of math. What happened? We pulled the money from the public safety tax, we put it in IMPD. The administration, without our permission, moved the money from IMPD back to the Fiscal Stability Fund, and then turned around and said to us, but you can replenish IMPD with the CUME Fund. we're playing math games when we